To be the top dog, you got to beat the top dog, and that top dog resides in Athens, Georgia. Welcome to Student of the Game. My name is Adrian Phillips, 10-year NFL vet, and on this space is where we break down the marquee matchups throughout the week of college football to see what went right, what went wrong. Today we will be breaking down part 2 of Georgia offense versus Texas defense and see how Georgia was really able to really do whatever they wanted to the Texas defense, which was a little surprising. Now, let me start this off by saying this is not a space where we bash players. We just talk about what simply happened, what went right, what went wrong from a bird's eye view. I'm not in the film room. You're not in the film room. So we don't know what these guys are being taught. So thank you for coming to class. Class is in session. Thank you for vibing with P. Let's get into it. So we got the first play right here. I think Texas really started off strong with the sack to start the game off. You see, we got a big shift by Georgia, and that was really the theme of the day with them. Shifts, motions, guys looking and going different ways, trying to confuse the defense. But you're gonna see right here, first play of the game, they try to do like a sprint out or something, whatever it is, that just doesn't work. The ball ends up getting snapped too early, and we get Colin Simmons started off play one, making a play. That's what we needed. You behind enemy lines, bro. When you behind enemy lines, you got to set the tone right now. And if they mess up the snap right here, you got to make them pay for it. And that's exactly what Texas did. There was no scheme on this. It was just go win. It was a busted play, go win. Great job off the bat. And I wish that would have kept going. So for the second play of the game, it's 2nd down and 12. You got them behind the sticks early in their hometown. We see right here that Georgia is in a unbalanced formation, and this was really the theme of the day. And what's crazy about this, I think this is something that they saw versus Vandy, because Vandy really didn't have a lot to work with in the run game, or really period until the end of the game. Once they got into this unbalanced set, bringing all 4 eligible guys to one side of the field. When Texas played Vandy, we saw a lot of sprint out from this. We saw like some different runs and other cool things from that. But that was really the only way that they got positive yards. So we see that like film study is really taking advantage right here, and Georgia like to use that. So we get the second play of the game, and we get a zone read off of it, something that Vanderbilt did, and we get a tough read by number 4. So what they do here, they really want to force your corner to be in the run game. We have our corner, he's in the middle of the field. We got him plused over, so we got number 16 coming down here. It looks like they're playing some form of man, just everybody matching their man. I would assume these 2 guys are 2 for 2 here. They might be 3 for 2 here. Not really sure. But at the end of the day, they really want to try to force your corner into run responsibility as much as possible. So right here, they're not able to do that. We have what we talked about all the time, Colin Simmons right now. He's reading the mesh of Gunnar Stockton. You can either crash it, go play the running back, which he does right here. You can either surf it, which means you can play the quarterback, make it a slow read, or you can missile, rocket, whatever that word is, to go force the issue with the quarterback right here. You're gonna see that Simmons ends up taking a dive. He sees the flash by the tight end coming across. Texas has a big tendency of playing underneath that flash, and I feel like Georgia used it to their advantage. So he plays underneath this flash that's coming and plays the dive because he's really backed up by number 4 right here. What number 4 has to do, he has to realize that now you are the edge of the defense. On every play, there has to be somebody that's going to set the edge. So on this side, we have what it looks like to be 91 setting the edge. If Colin Simmons, number 1, is going down, that means that you are the edge. That means that you always make them right. You're going to see that he plays underneath this arc block, this influence by the tight end, when if he just boxes it right here, it makes it an easier tackle for number 26 and an easier tackle for number 25. But with him going underneath, it gives Stockton a chance to get around the edge. He didn't have to use his blocker, so his blocker was able to get the corner who was playing free safety down the middle of the field, and it ended up being a big game for him. Georgia is still in their script. Still a lot of shifts and motions. They're still in their script. It looks like Texas is in some form of one high coverage. It might be zone just because we have this guy dropping down away from 3 receivers right here. So we're thinking that it's some type of zone. But Georgia did a good job of this early on. Texas ended up adjusting to it. They took advantage of the speed that they have on the edge right here. And Texas actually did a really good job on the edge with their corners. What we call these right now are look passes. If your corner is 8 to 9 yards off, not looking at the quarterback to not get a read on it, and you have a design run call, whatever way that it may go, the quarterback might just say, you know what, I'm gonna just take my chance. We got Branch out here. He's a fast guy. He makes a lot of people miss. We're just gonna give him the opportunity to see if he can do something. Ends up being a great open field tackle right here, but you're gonna see this throughout the game because Texas plays 8 or 9 yards off, and their DBs start sometimes before the snap backpedaling, and that can get you in trouble sometimes. With all that being said, a really good open field tackle, because it could have got ugly. Really good open field tackle by number 3, Gilbo. So we get to 2nd and 7, still in the script. Georgia has their running back. They're gonna motion them out to create what we call an empty formation right here. But this is different than any other empty formation that you might see because they have their tight end, what we call a Y off, and chip protection and punt pro protection, blocking protection. So even though it's empty formation, they still have 6 people to block right here and to give the quarterback some time to read some things out. And that's exactly what might happen on this play. So Texas is in cover 3. We get a motion, a whole bunch of shifts in motion. They have what Texas ran actually earlier. A lot of teams run this where they have a lead blocker. It counts as just an extra check down. So they motion Zachariah across on a swing route. You know, if everybody's playing deep, then they just give it to him. Hopefully they get like 5 to 10 yards from it, go to the next play. But right here, we get our 2 guys right here. So we're in cover 3. We got here, here, here. We call this P coverage, where defenders actually drop 8 players on defense. It's the max coverage that you can really get with still getting some rush on the quarterback. We actually have 5 underneath. So we got 3 deep and 5 underneath to try to get that max coverage since they went empty formation. But we get influence right here. We think it's a screen, and this guy becomes wide open, and they throw it right behind him to where 29 is supposed to be, either 29 or 0, wherever those guys are supposed to be. And this actually ends up being a good read by the corner. Stockton just gives him a better ball and allows that for a big game, an explosive game. So you have those guys 2nd and 7 at their own 46, and now we're talking 1st and 10 at your 29. When the offense, who's not really able to generate a whole lot of explosive plays, Georgia's cool. I know they only have 1 loss on the season, but just like, I wouldn't say that they were like super duper explosive. They had some plays throughout the season that looked really explosive, but this isn't the offense that you were like, oh my God, I'm so scared of these guys. Texas wasn't on the P's and Q's right there, and it ended up being a 30-yard gain. So after that 30-yard gain or whatever it was, Georgia really doesn't get anything on 1st down, but they're in that fringe area where it's not quite the red zone. The red zone starts at the 25-yard line, so they're right outside of it, right on the fringe. Offenses, they will be methodical and take the check downs if they have to, but they don't like to. They like to try to skip the red zone because the plays get harder to run when you get into the red zone because there's not a lot of field going this way. There's a whole lot going, oh God, this way, oh Jesus, and that way. So they decide that they're going to take a shot right here. They decide that they're going to take a shot. Texas is in man coverage. They were thinking about bumping this with the motion with Zachariah between this guy and the safety. They don't. Great eyes by 16 right here. Let me run that back for you. Great eyes right here. We call this an H strike. H strike. And what that means is your running back, usually it's your F. If you watch NFL, Kyle Juszczyk from San Fran, Alex Ingalls sometimes, whatever fullback that you can think of, guys that are typically known for like blocking, they'll come through the line, act like they're blocking, and go right down the field. And usually it's wide open, but this was great odds by 16 right here. And on top of that, we get good pressure right here because we actually get ate up by the turf monster right here. And they were about to, if he had time, I think Gunner would have found them and they would have been striking up the band on that. But the pressure helped us out right here. We got good odds right here, and it ends up being no harm, no foul. Great play through the hands. Now you get to 3rd and 10, and we have our corners 9 yards off again. To the field, though. It's to the field. They're 9 yards off again. I understand it. A lot of times, you really wouldn't expect your quarterback to make this far of a throw to the field, because if they do, if it was I don't want to say good corner because he's a good corner himself, but generally, like if you're playing that, if your eyes are on a quarterback, or if you're reading the routes like you should, that might be a pick because it takes a long time to get there. So they end up getting the first down. This was tough right here. This was tough. So we fast forward a couple plays. We get to 2nd and 9. They're in the high red zone. And this is where miscommunication in your back end can really be detrimental to your defense. People can mess up in the front. They might get 5-6 yards. They mess up at the second level. Hey, you might get 10, 15 yards. If you mess up in his back end, it is usually a touchdown. And when you're playing in big games like this, you cannot have communication errors because good teams will take advantage of it. And that's exactly what Georgia did right here. So they broke the huddle. Texas is in man. So what that means is you got corners traveling with your receivers. Well, they broke the huddle fast and they broke the huddle real tight. So I believe that this corner right here didn't really see his responsibility, or he didn't know, or there wasn't the proper communication to know that, hey, you need to travel with one of these two receivers right here. So that's the first problem. So Taft, being the veteran that he is, I believe that he tries to fix it. So he tells the corner right here that I'm going to go down and take the receiver. Well, now Georgia's not waiting on you. If you're not lined up, that is on you. They are not waiting on you. So they send their guy in motion right here. And typically what happens is when somebody goes in motion, the free safety, whoever that is, usually rocks and rolls that, which means another word just to say bump it, which means that he goes to the post, the middle of the field, and this guy right here goes and takes his coverage. Well, since they were already messed up from the jump, it threw everything off alignment. Because technically, if we run it back, if Taft fixes this and he gets down here, Taft would be right here and he would be on this guy, this receiver right here. Once this guy goes in motion with number 5 being in the field, we'll say 5 is in the field, 5 will go take that, 3 will go back to the middle of the field, and we will still have a body on the body. At the end of the day, if you're in man coverage, you want a body on the body. And that doesn't happen right here. So Taft tries to fix it. Now we got 3 people in the back, and we have a free receiver running free, sees him late, tries to do what he can, and just, we don't get there in time. You don't get there in time. So let's go to the back view to see it again. So this is what I believe. You got number 3 right here, how it's supposed to be drawn up on this, on this guy right there. 5 is supposed to be over here on this guy. We got number 4 right here on this guy. We got 16 in the middle of the field. Once this guy goes in motion, if they are bumping it, what I believe, 3 will come back to the middle of the field. 16 will go take that coverage. 3 will run all the way across depending on what type of speed that is. But number 5 will still be on this guy right here who ends up catching the touchdown. But when you have that communication problem, 16 tried to do what he could to fix it, but it was just, there's a lot going on. Like I said, Georgia isn't waiting on you. It ends up getting messed up and we could have got free. So now this play looks like it's Gilbo's fault. Number 3, when he just happens to be the closest guy to the ball and try to make a play, they end up scoring off of it. That's why communication really has to be on point in these big games. And that's why Georgia did a very good job of sending people left, sending people right, going unbalanced, fast motion, flash after the snap. Like, we'll get into all that, but they really did a good job making guys over communicate. So we get to the first play of the next drive. Here we go again with another unbalanced formation. Right now, we don't have all 4 guys on the same side. We got 1, 2, 3, but we have another guy right here who you would think would be coming across. And as I said earlier, what this means is when you don't have a guy split out here with your corner, it forces them to get into the run fits. And a lot of times they aren't in the run fit meetings and they aren't really tied into run fits. So they don't necessarily know where to fit. So we get the motion too unbalanced. And on top of that, we get a puller. They get good runs off of it. I think Stacy Searles is their offensive line coach who was at Texas when I was at Texas. I wonder if he's their run game coordinator. If he is, he was dialing up some stuff. But all this comes from watching the Vandy game, because this is the only way that Vandy really got yards, was being unbalanced, because they either saw Texas didn't adjust once or twice, or they were able to get on the edge and really move that way. We get the motion. We got our tight end right here. He's going to come across, block the edge. Then we get another puller on top of that. So that means that we're losing 2 gaps, that this guy really has to go over 2 gaps. And this play doesn't even end up being on him. I don't even want to say the issue on this, but the issue is really right here. So when you get a puller, one, you have the boss over already. Boss over means the linebacker has to bump over already once he gets the motion. So he already should be bossing over to the front side. On top of that, when you get this puller right here, you gotta go. You gotta go, and you can't play underneath this block. You have to get over the top of this guy right here, because if you don't, they have more numbers than what you have, and it doesn't allow for your free safety and the guy playing backside to really get over. So they got more numbers right now. If he gets over the top, it's still a big game, because this corner's not tied into the run game and doesn't really know that he needs to get over the top and be right there. So it's still gonna be a big game. This is why Georgia did a really good job of just attacking them in the run game, and why their yards per carry were where they were. We get to another couple plays down on the tape, and they start off in this unbalanced formation again. That was the theme of the day for these guys. They end up shifting out of it, but you're gonna see that they bring it right back in the form of a pass, and it really puts this guy in a bind right here. So he's checking, he sees that they didn't move with the shift, so he's thinking that it's some type of zone. Texas was shelling, meaning they were showing some type of cover 3, but I believe that they ended up rolling to cover 4 with having these 3 guys playing short. But it really puts this guy in a bind right here, because I would really love for number 8 right here to be aligned 4 yards off and 1 yard inside, just about right there, because you're gonna see when they snap the ball and he realizes that it's passed, he's gonna be out of whack. If he was aligned right here, it would have been easier for him to get to his drop and get to this flat route that they end up doing. So he looks behind him. He almost gets out leverage. They end up getting 5 yards off of it. This is real like technical for me, just because I've been a part of that. Ideally, what I would have liked for him to do is align closer to number 2, give this guy a gone check, which means he's no longer playing this half of the lineman anymore. He goes to a 5 technique, and he becomes the edge of the defense. No matter what, you always have to have an edge of the defense. You always have to have an edge. And we're 2 for 2 on the back end on this side over here, but we don't really have anybody in the flat. And he walks out late, but I just think if he was there, if he was in the spot a little earlier, like he would have been a little more under control. And this is a new position for him, a little more under control, that he would have got there better. This one is tough for me. It's 2nd and 4, ball in the boundary, formation in the boundary. We got a guy standing on the hash, so technically he has a minus split, technically, which means he's closer to the ball. And we got a corner 9 yards off. On 2nd and 4 with nobody in this area right here. It's a recipe for disaster, and they took advantage of that. And we've seen that throughout the year. We end up getting a motion. They check, Georgia checks, they realize that we're in zone, they bring that guy back because they see that they have something to the front side. Georgia really did a good job with their game plan, man. And now that they widen him out, we still don't have anybody in this area. He's still 9 yards off. The ball is just now hitting the quarterback's hand. I don't know if you can see that. And this guy is looking at the receiver. No chance. He looks at the receiver first, then gets his eyes back to the quarterback. You don't have a chance. You're already missing the quick step drop, and the ball is gone. With that arm right there, you would love to kind of see him in his break already. And it's 2nd and 4, and they skip 3rd down. Ends up making a good tackle, but it's just technical stuff for me. And they have to do what they're taught, but you're just giving up the 1st down. But Texas ends up making an adjustment to this later because they get hit on it like maybe 1 or 2 more times, or tried to get hit on it 1 or 2 more times, and then they started bailing off of that. And I love that because you just don't want to easily give up the 1st down like that. You want to make them work for it. So now we get to the very next play, and we got our guy bailing. I love that. We got our guy bailing. I'm not sure right here if this is man or zone, but whatever it is, it didn't work. That is a tough ass. I know if you play safety, you got to do the tough things sometimes, but playing 8 yards off on this guy right here, who's in the slot, who runs, he probably gonna run 4.2. It's tough. I've been there with DeAnthony Thomas, and I was in his hip pocket, but he still caught the ball though. He still caught the ball. That's tough, and he ran a really good route too. But if we're talking about number 4 right here, he is a great player. He just has to get more technically sound, and Taft knows that he has to turn his ball back into number 4 so they can bottle that up and make a tackle on it. But when you got a guy who's fast like that, man, it's tough. That's the only reason that this play is on here, just because it was a big play and I wanted to show like this was a good route, and 4 has to get closer to coverage. Whatever coverage it was, it did not work, and that boy is sliding. Only thing Taft has to do right here, and it's so hard because he threw it behind him, but just attack right here. Attack right there. He threw it behind him and he still spun out of it. That's the crazy thing. It's tough. That is tough. So if you watch like part 1 of the breakdown, I was talking about the refs being ticky-tacky. Like, I get this is kind of a hole right here. We're going to be highlighting this guy and this guy right here. It ended up being solid coverage, and they ended up calling the hole right here. I get it, but like, that's ticky-tacky. They were doing that to us all game. Did we get one? I don't think we got one. Like, you can't call that. I'm going to go back. Like, for him to call that, like, come on, bro. Rarely does that get called. I mean, it's a hole. By the letter of the law, it's a hole. But like, if you're gonna call it tight like that, just call it tight on both sides, because you didn't do that. So they end up getting 1st down on that. But Texas ended up bowling up a little bit, getting them boys to 3rd and goal, and they end up scoring. We just have to be more technically sound. It feels like Texas is in some form of red cover 2, and with red 2, basically just means it's cover two in the red zone, and instead of your safeties and everybody spot dropping, it becomes more of a match tendency. And they ended up scoring on this route right here. If it is red two, the only reason I think it's red two is because this guy, his feet are square, his eyes are inside. Well, they were inside, and he's outside leverage. So I was thinking it was some form of red too, just because of that. And then we got this guy dropping right here, this guy dropping right here. And he's outside leverage. He has all that help inside. You got all your help inside. All your help inside, just stay outside. And I know it's hard because this guy is only 1 yard in the end zone right now. In the league, what they talk about with some DB coaches, and I was fortunate enough to have like great DB coaches at every stage of my playing career. Great DB coaches at high school with Coach Lawrence. I had obviously Coach Akina, who was a dog, and then Coach Milo, Coach Ron Miles, and Chris Harris at the Chargers that like really put me on game. And when you get inside the 10-yard line, what they always talk about is splitting the difference between the goal line and the end line. So it gives yourself enough time to be able to transfer underneath the receiver. Because by the time they reach the goal line, you want to be either in their hip pocket or underneath. So with the ball at the 4, you would kind of love for him, and he has to do what he's taught, to be like right there at the 2-yard line, right? Either at the 2 or maybe at the 1, and not backing up. If you just look at his feet right here, he's outside the end zone. On the snap of the ball, backs up into the end zone. He's already not splitting the difference, so he's still on top of the receiver. And then as the receiver runs his route, he's still on top of him, still haven't made contact. You would really love to make that contact before they get to the end zone, so you can be like in that hip pocket, and that would allow him to stay possibly outside, or if he was inside, be able to affect this throw a little more. It's tough, but that's just like small technical stuff that you can do to give yourself a chance before they actually snap the ball. So I end up scoring, right? It's 14-3. Like I said earlier, this is why Georgia's run game is so good. They influence you with all these flashes, all these motions, and it forces people to move, and you get misaligned with it. So generally, if you get a motion from this guy right here, most of the time you will see these guys bump over to play that. As you're getting this motion right here, you're also getting this guy flashing back. And that's why communication is so key. And I think, no, I don't think Moore said anything, but usually you want to say, hey, why off? Is he deep? Is he deep or is he tanked? If he's deep, meaning his feet are behind the original line of scrimmage, there's a chance that he might be going back. If he's tanked, which would mean like his feet are kind of right there, it would be harder for him to go back. So you would love for this guy, all the 3 of these guys really to be talking about that and telling this guy right here, hey, somebody is coming across, flash alert. And they might be saying that because Georgia is on offense and they're in Georgia, so it's quiet out there. I don't see any physical communication with it, like pointing and stuff like that. So I don't know if they talked about it. Now, number one sees it, but when you get this flash right here, like I talked about, okay, you're thinking of bossing over, right? But you're getting this guy coming back too, so you really just want to chill. You just not move at all. But since they did move, it ended up getting leaky yards in there. It is what it is. I just wanted to talk about that play because Georgia really made it tough. The Rams do that. The Saints do that. Kansas City does stuff like that. Like it makes it really freaking tough for the defense if you're not communicating and not talking about it before it happens. After they gave up them 2 drives early, it's 4:46 to go in the second quarter. They was making them boys punt, like punt, pick, punt. They really locked it up. And this play is only on here to show if you're gonna be ticky-tacky, call it both ways. Call it both ways. We get tripped. Buddy kicked his leg out. I want you to watch the running back right here. Just kick his leg out. You got the ref looking at it. And we don't get anything, bro. You don't get anything from it. I just put that on there to show like it is one-sided. So on the next drive, they come out, formation into the boundary. When teams do formation into the boundary, and Sark does this a lot too, they really want to identify if it's man or if it's zone. If your corner travels with it once they send the motion back, if there is a motion, or does he stay where he's at? If he stays where he's at, then they might think some type of blitz is coming. Like, how you want to play this formation into the boundary? This is a tough play for Hill right here. We're gonna be looking at him right here. He's guarding a tight end from 4 yards. The tight end ends up just running the seam. He's a good tight end. So we get the motion. We rock and roll the coverage, and ends up being a tough play. Like, seams are kind of one of the hardest things to cover from the linebacker position because those guys are just on you so quick and they can get on top of you. You really got to try to find a way to get hands on right now. The only thing that I would love to see different from him is just try to fight to really get hands on, and I would love to see a better break out of Tab, but it's hard because it's a lot of trash right there. It's a whole bunch of trash right there. I would love to see when Stockton hits his top foot that Tab hits his and gets ready to break right now. But it's a lot of trash. Sometimes you can't see that. That's just me being like picky. Like, bro, you got him on the ground. He didn't score. Line it up, we'll take the next one. Because I do want to talk about the free safety when we get to the play of the day. Getting down the field, it's 102 left in the half. They're in the middle of the field. It's 2nd and 9. And here we are again. Our corners 9 yards off to the field, which is cool. Let me just say that it's cool to be 9 yards off or 8 yards off. That's fine. It's what you do after the ball is snapped that gets you in trouble. This ball is on the other hash, dang near like 3 yards from the other hash, and Buddy ain't got no rocket. He ain't got no rocket, so we're 8 yards off. We don't read the quick game. We're still 8 yards off. If you're to the field like that, you gotta let them eat up a little bit of cushion to give yourself a chance to make this play. And it's a great open field tackle. Great open field tackle, but you can see there's no re-steps. What you want to see from your corner, if he's not cluing, and what we talk about cluing is looking at the quarterback to see if it's quick game or if it's drop back. So to let you know something like that would happen would be you would see a slow back pedal from your corner and then he'll speed it up, or you'll see a slow scooch to a back pedal. But if you look, like, yeah, he's looking at the quarterback, but as soon as the quarterback catches the ball, like, you're not looking no more. You gotta give yourself a chance to the field like that, because those are long throws, bro. People get pick sixes off that. That's how you get your pick sixes. It's still 14-3. So we get to the second half. Good play on the first one. I am a firm believer. First off, let's just say this. Flavor of the day, unbalanced formation. How you gonna line up to it? Is your corner coming over? No, he's not. Okay, maybe it's man, maybe it's not, but at the end of the day, they're 3 for 3 out here. I'm a firm believer that the closer your wide receivers get to the ball, the more that they minus their splits, the closer your star, your nickel, should be to the line of scrimmage to force the issue. They're trying to create a short edge. They want to create a short edge for that defense so they can get around the edge of it. So If your receivers are not way out here, then the tighter they get to the ball, the closer you need to get to the line of scrimmage because they're trying to set something up. So we got our DBs on the same level right here. He ends up scooting up a little bit, but it's still too far. He doesn't make contact till 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. I just truly believe that if he was here, he's making that contact right now. He might go beat it. I've seen people go beat that, but it's just tough. So yes, he's technically setting the edge, but he's setting the edge 3 yards down the field. And it ends up being a positive gain. Those are just leaky yardage. That's just leaky yardage throughout the game that could like build up and keep the offense on track so they can call whatever they want to call. Texas ends up stopping them. Texas played well. They end up stopping them. These plays are so tough. Look, here we got another motion from Georgia. I'm gonna stop it right here. These plays are so tough because this comes up later in a different way. When you're in zone coverage, these plays are so tough because typically the corner, even though it's zone, has anything deep. The curl flat guy has what we call 2 through the zone. So if he runs a wheel, that curl flat guy runs with him. These plays are so tough because they snap the ball when these guys are stacked. And if you don't practice these throughout the week or talk about these throughout the week and these just come up in the game, you got to know how you're taking this. You got to know if he's going to see this as 2 through the zone or not. So we're kind of like all over the place right now. This ends up being a wheel route. Like a wheel route. Buffalo ran this a lot. Buffalo runs this when they had Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs and stuff like that. We got our corner spinning around looking for somebody. We got our safety not following somebody, like just covering grass, and it ends up being a catch. And if it was a good throw, it would have been a first down. But these plays are so tough. You got to talk about how you're going to take this. It's a tough play. Now, this was fire. With that being said, like, this was freaking fire. You talk about your big players making big plays and big games, bro. It's 14-3. Texas needed a big play. Great eyes from Anthony Hill right here. We're in cover 3. This is fire. This is fire. Are we in cover 3? We are, but it's a weird cover 3. Either way, this is a fire play and dope by him to read Stockton's eyes and to read the route to know he needs to fall back in on that and go get him a pick. Dog. Big players have to make big plays and big games, bro. Needed that. And you see what happens. You make that big play right here. Now it's 14-10. Now we going somewhere. We get them to 4th and 1. This ends up being tough. They end up going unbalanced again. And it ends up being a roll pass up over it. I won't even try to break down the defense on this because goal line defenses are so different. Short yardage goal line defenses are so different that, you know, it could look like one thing, but it could be something totally different. Somebody's eyes wasn't right because generally you want to have, there's always somebody taking a running back to the flat. That's the only thing you need to know from this. Somebody was supposed to take the running back to the flat. They didn't take him to the flat. We were messed up right here. 7 ends up being open for a clear out. They're never really looking at that guy anyway. But yeah, that's the only thing that we can say about these. This is where I'm about to lose my mind because we don't call a hold. We get a hold right here. And I'm going to rewind it a little bit. It's this guy, number 7, right here. On our nickel, on our star, 29, he tackles him and they don't call it. So he gets tackled. We don't freaking call a hold. Of course not, because why? It ends up going to 4th and 5, and I know every play matters, and there's still a lot of game to be played after this, but I'm just being honest. This was one of 2 plays where Texas really lost the game defensively. So we get them to 4th and 5. We jump off sides. Oh, that hurt so bad. That hurt so bad. I almost threw my phone at my TV on this one. Your best players have to be the best in the best situations. We cannot have this, bro. You can't have this. I know they just went for it on 4th and 1. Bro, this can't happen. That can't happen. Then we actually get saved right here because this is a PI that they didn't call. I guess they felt bad about not calling that hold that they missed because that was actually a PI. But with that being said, this is one of 2 plays where Texas lost the game. Play number 2 is definitely coming up. So here we are. Here it is, the play of the game. The second play of 2 plays of why I believe Texas lost the game. The first one was the jumped off sides 4th and 5. That led to this situation right here. And we had Kirk Herbstreit breaking it down. I think it was Kirk Herbstreit on the game, breaking it down and saying this is some type of man coverage. He kind of wrong. It's a match coverage. So it's cover 3. The reason that we know that this is zone coverage is because you can look at this guy right here. We always talk about offenses identifying a guy to let you know whether it's man or zone. So, and the reason that we can also kind of tell it is because they have a tight end. This is what we call an identifier. You identify if it's man or if it's zone. If Taft, the safety, was out here on number 4, you would have been like, this is probably man. So what happens here? The first issue is miscommunication by your vets right here. This is a very tough play. I just showed a similar play to this with number 1 coming across in motion, them snapping the ball and them running switch seams, and how they didn't communicate and we had a corner turning one way, safety ended up guarding grass. They just got to it a different way. In the secondary, you have to over communicate clarity. Do not assume, don't ever assume. I know it's cover 3. This looks like 2 through the zone for Taft, which is why he ends up taking this guy right here. Because when you snap the ball, he technically is number 2. We always count outside in. You got 1 right here. You got 2. He technically is 2. What they are doing, they're playing the match cover 3. And I'm gonna break this down. It's probably gonna be long. So they're playing a match cover 3, which means if they snap the ball right here, this guy has him anywhere vertical and outside. Same thing for this corner on here. When they motion them in, now you have a bunch formation over here. So what I would have loved, and I don't know if they have this in their check, but usually when you have this type of cover 3, this type of rip Liz coverage is what they call it, or stretch is what they call the match tendency. When you have a bunch right here, you change it to sky, which means no matter what, this guy is going deep to play cover 3, this guy is going curl flat, and this guy is going straight hook and not chasing any routes. They don't do this right here. They don't talk about it. Who knows if they have that check? I don't know. But Taft ends up taking his number 2 through the zone because technically that was number 2. So Gilbo, this corner right here, you would love to see him go and take this seam route that's going to be wide open. And when I saw this, I saw it live. I cussed. I saw it live right before he even threw it. And that was the second play that lost him the game. The 4th and 5, jumping off sides, that was the first play. This was the second play. These 2 guys messed up. This was their initial miscommunication problem. Over-communicate clarity. What I wanted to talk about was the free safety. Our free safety play has to be better when you're in the middle of the field. We call this a 60-40 safety in the NFL. The Seahawks made this famous. Earl Thomas, a lot of guys get paid a lot of money to play this position right here. 2 Seahawks that went crazy playing that position. That style of defense made a whole lot of money with it. Are 2 Texas guys, Earl Thomas and Quandre Diggs. 60-40 safeties. You're responsible for 60% of the field this way because you're leaning. You're taking that over there, so they shouldn't be able to throw anything over here. And the other 40%, these guys are technically responsible for. But one thing that they always say is no seams, no posts. If you're this guy right here, they should never be able to throw a seam. They should never be able to throw a post if there was a receiver out here. No seams, no post. And this guy right here is a freaking dog. But his technique has to be a little bit better, because as you're lined over to this plus side of the field, you know that this guy is already canceling out this whole side of the field. It's so easy because you're right there. He's like, bro, you standing right there. I'm not even finna look that way. Maybe they might have something in the game plan where they influence you or something like that, but I'm not even finna look right there. You get your knees bent, you get lined up, you got your eyes on the quarterback, and you hope that they throw this seam. You pray to God that they throw this seam. Because if they throw this seam, he either gonna get smacked or you taking that thing to the crib, and that's how you get paid. So I'm gonna let this play run. One, he's hightailing it out of there. I get it, whatever. But with this quarterback looking this way, you pray to God that he throw that. I swear to God, if he throw that, I'm going to either blow this dude up. And if you think I'm lying, you can at Quandre Diggs right now. And if you got Earl number, or if you can find a way to talk to Earl, you can ask him too. You pray to God that they throw that different seam. Because if they do, it is getting picked. You're baiting them into that ball. And we're late on the throw. He doesn't break until the ball is already in the air. The ball already in the air. It's blurry. And now he's just not breaking. It's too late, bro. It's too late. So yes, the miscommunication from Taft and Gilbo was the first part, but if I'm being completely honest, it's just as much on him too. But they might not coach it that way. So you got to take that into accountability too. But from what I know, and from what I know from playing in the NFL and from guys that I've seen do it at a high level, if you're plushed over like this, you pray to God they throw that seam. Because if you do, it's night-night. It's either night-night or we going the other way and we striking up the band. Tough. The last play that we got right here, their last touchdown of the game. You got hit with the onside kick that really freaking hurt. And this is something that Georgia noticed, one, at the beginning of their game, and two, probably from watching film. You don't just say, hey, I'm gonna go do an onside kick. This is something that you watch from jump. So they see him bailing right here. This is the first kick of the game. We go to the next one. Same side. They see him, and I don't know if you can tell, but he's not looking at the ball. See him kind of bailing like that again. Okay. They were just setting you up. They seeing how you gonna play it. And Kirby's he's a gambler. Look, this guy's starting at the what, 47? By the time the kicker gets to the ball, he is at the 50. They see it. It don't get you until it gets you. They didn't really have to call. They could have called that hold. This was tough. Niblet, you a dog, bro. Man, you a dog. But it don't get you until it gets you, man. They take advantage of inexperienced guys, unfortunately. I think these are young guys. Not looking at the ball. That play gets you, and now it gets out of hand. And when you behind enemy lines, you see all that red right there. You see they turned up. You see all the smoke. They making this a big time affair. When you see all that, it just makes it tough. So you got to be on your P's and Q's. So I hope that these guys learn from this tape, finish the season strong, and just from here on out, over communicate, clarity, because the D-line can mess up. And I'm just talking to the secondary. The D-line can mess up, the linebackers can mess up, but when you have miscommunication on that back end, 9 times out of 10, and maybe 10 times out of 10, it is a touchdown. That was a long one, but there was a lot of plays in there that I wanted to get going. So if you stuck around for this pretty much hour, thank you for doing that. I really rock with y'all, and I love that y'all are enjoying the breakdowns. If you got any comments, any questions, just shoot the comments. I love talking ball. At me, do whatever you got to do. Like, subscribe. This is Student of the Game. Thank you for vibing with P. I will see you next week. Enjoy your week. Peace. I don't know what that was, but peace.